Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there. How we doing?
I see people in the chat talking about whether they've recovered or not yet.
Yeah. You've had a week almost.
Yeah, 5 days.
Yeah.
It was something. It was fun.
It was. It really was a great event. I really liked the variety. That was neat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For me, the two highlights were the variety and the mix of people on your team.
I agree. Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that the post that you made, Betsy, I think that bears out those two.
Yes. Yeah. I'm getting ready. We've had a terrific response to that, and I'll put the link in the chat just in case people still want to respond and give their feedback about what they liked, what they didn't like, what we can change for next time. And I'm about to compile those. Let me get that.
Christine agrees with us. Or at least that's something that someone said at one point. I'm not sure what the delay's like. So that's cool. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I still do not have my WikiGames t-shirt.
Oh.
Lost in the mail. It'll get here eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, that's right. And Eowyn is supposed to be joining us at some point today, but she was having connection issues, so that is why you don't see her quite yet. Yeah. So are we ready for some stats?
Always. Always. Always.
I love stats. Stats with Greg.
Okay. Well, we'll start off with some stats then. And there we go. So there we go. So let's put together. So I know this was hard for a lot of people, waiting till the very end to find stats, and which was interesting. I mean, I kind of liked it in one sense, in that you didn't know, if you weren't at the very bottom, like our Marvelous Maples ended up being near the bottom. You weren't feeling defeated all weekend long because you just had no hope of catching up with the people up at the top, right? So you had a false sense of security, I guess. Maybe better for your mental health than the. But I do. One of the comments, I think I saw, Betsy. I don't know if you're going to summarize some of the comments here, but I know one of the ones that resonated with me was, it'd be nice to have your own personal stats, so you could keep sort of your personal goals, and if well, I'm going to round it. I'm going to keep on going until I get to the next round number or something like that. Though there were ways that you could do that, and we did talk about that throughout the weekend. But
right. So I think we can be clever. We just have to. I mean, this is sort of it's a new situation for us, not having the scores just constantly refreshing every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we'll figure something out.
Yeah. But I think it was good. I don't think the lack of stats until the final reveal, I don't think that was a huge detriment to the whole event. But here's the final, the big picture at the end. And so each team, this is the team stats. Okay. Right. So each team was ranked 1 to 15. We had the 15 teams, right? For the year of 15, or 15th anniversary. And then the top place team got 25 points for an event. The second place team got 20 points for an event, then 15 points. And then from there, it went to 12 points, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1. So that was kind of, that's sort of similar to the way they rank the medals too, right? They don't just count the medals. They give, was it 5, 3, 1 or something like that?
Is it kind of like weighting?
Yeah, it's like weighting. Yeah. So first place medal is worth more than a silver medal.
That makes sense.
So the interesting thing is that the first place went to 3 different teams over for the 3 events. So there wasn't one team that always was in first place, but 1, 2, 3. The sorcering event was the one that was sort of most widely distributed, but the connection event and then the CC7 for the Olympians were closest to each other in terms of where the rank were. So that was kind of an interesting thing there. And I guess I wonder if maybe that's not such a surprise if you think about it, because doing the CC7 for the Olympians was very similar in nature to the Connectathon portion,
Right.
Because you're creating brand new profiles, so it's the same sort of mechanics, I guess.
Yeah.
And people who are good at that may not necessarily feel as strongly about adding sources, or sometimes it's harder to find a profile that doesn't have any sources on it, and then to add a source because maybe they don't have sources on it because there's no stats at that point for that point of time. Or
right.
But the question is, how did they get added in the first place if there wasn't even at least a census or something, I guess.
Well, I mean, sometimes people do sneak in a profile with just, sort of,
from the family history.
Yeah, grandma said so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But eventually those get picked up.
They do. Yeah.
By our.
It's interesting how the connection event in the middle, the placing is pretty consistent with how the end place ended up being. You see
look at that too. You're right. I was comparing the two, the second and the third event, but you're right. The second event and the final event are even closer.
For the first 6.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it middles it around. But then the last 4 teams are all the same. The last 4 teams.
It is really interesting though that the connecting one kind of is a little kind of a
it is
leader.
Interesting. So that's kind of neat. So here is the big sheet for the sourcing by team and user, and we've already had the emails and we already know who the overall high score people were and whatnot. But what I get, the neat stat or the neat interesting point about this is that every team had around the same number of people competing. So we designed it that way for the games, but it worked out too. So we have teams of 6 with 16 people competing, 12 people, 12, 13, 17 people, but all around the same number. So the teams were quite even in terms of number of competitors. So that's quite neat to see. So that was the sourcing event, the Friday one. And then now for the connecting event, so we had teams of 11 up to 16, 17, 11 to 17. So maybe a bit wide, up to 18 there. Bit wider range of the numbers of people per team, but still, unlike our common thons where you have some really tiny teams and some really massive teams, they're all much more evenly spaced. So
that was one of the things I really liked about this.
And we talked about it on the events committee, and you guys who did the organizing and arranged it, but sometimes, you make these plans and you're never quite sure if it's going to work out or not.
Well, first time you got to make your best guess and then see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. So that was kind of neat. And that worked out there. And the same, now the sourcing. So here we are. What was this? This is the users by users. So there, the top one sourcing was Ben Couch, followed by Jim Menchaca, and then Alan K. Entwistle, and then Laurie Zuckerman and Mark Lehman were in the top 5 there. And look at his number, 333. Really cool number. There we go. And look at the difference between 4th place and 5th place is 1 source citation. 1 source citation.
Yeah, never say that it's not worth staying up for one more.
Oh, Mark. Oh, sorry, Mark. You're off the mark by 1.
That's a dad joke.
I know, that's a dad joke. That's so bad it's a granddad joke. But anyways, lots of people. Oh, there are 101 Dalmatians. So the top 27 people all had in the triple digits, adding sources. And then we have, of course, numbers that are a little bit lower, including my own. And then the user, this is for the Connectathon part, the Saturday one. And Alan, of course, had the most there, followed by Jay Manchek again, Ben Couch. See those three up, and then Mark Lehman there, 458, and Jody Rogers in 5th position there, 411. Some directory assistance, not needed for
I knew you were going to say
Had to go there.
Had to go there. No assistance needed. She was right on top of things there. And then Emma was close behind with number in 6th position there. And for this one, the top 33 people hit triple digits. So that's pretty impressive. Now here, this is interesting. This is the CC7 for the Olympians. And I'm going to switch over to my spreadsheet. So I've actually took all those stats, put them in a spreadsheet, and I've arranged them in different order and different things. So I'm starting off with just some cool stats. And the cool stats here, we can just, let's see, I can hide that. Hide those columns, that's not there. Alphabetically first competitor was Ellen Altenberg from the Super Seeders.
Can you zoom in?
Oh, sure can.
Super Seeders. Woo-hoo.
Yes.
So she was the alphabetically first person. And the last person alphabetically was Adri J. Zonefeld.
All right.
From the Charming Chestnuts. And then there were some other really cool competitors. And you know, I did tree stats all weekend. So I can't leave without doing a few tree stats. And so these are all competitors who had tree-like names.
Oh,
I love it.
That's good.
So we had Stephen Greenwood. And if you're interested, these numbers here are their stats from the sourcing.
Yes.
Sourcing, the connecting, and then the Olympians. Okay, if you're curious about that, I'm not going to read out their stats. You can read them if you're interested. But the tree-like competitors were Steve Greenwood from the Magnificent Magnolias, Celia Marsh from the Marvelous Maples, Jody M. Green from the Remarkable Redwoods, Mona Lim. That
one's a little.
Maureen Wilkins Fern from the Brilliant Birches, Bob Land, Stephanie Hill. He's also from the Brilliant Birches. Stephanie Hill from the Charming Chestnuts. Lucy L. Salvaggio Diaz, also known as Chestnut. I'm not sure where the also known as Chestnut came from, but that got her in this list. Remarkable Chestnut.
Okay.
James Green from the Splendid Spruces. Rosin Haywood from the Fantastic Firs. Michelle Reed from the Exquisite Elms. And then Patty M. Keffer Woodgate.
That's fantastic.
That's funny.
If only I could have gotten some of my redwood cousins. Some of them are on WikiTree.
Oh, actual redwoods.
Their name is Redwood, yes.
That's neat.
Cool.
So I thought that was cool that, there was some tree-like people in the competition.
Of course.
So there we go. And it looks like, their scores ranged from 3 for Steve up to 339 was James Green. And the highest total score there. So there we go. So I put here's a spreadsheet I put together, and it has, now the first row is our alphabetically first person, and even though the rest of the spreadsheet is sorted, I needed for spreadsheet reasons I needed to leave her at the top, even if that wasn't the proper order sorted wise. So ignore that. Ellen's the top of my list all the time, at least for this broadcast.
I will let Ellen know.
Let Ellen know that, yes. So the change, this is the change from the maximum you did over the 3 days to the minimum you did over the 3 days. And Steve Greenwood wins the award for being the most consistent in scoring. because he got 1 point on every single day. So he was he was the most consistent out of everyone.
Yeah,
so that consistency deserves an award.
It does.
I'm having math flashbacks. So they're like 3 M things: the mean, which is the average.
Yes, that's right.
Mode, and the median.
Yes, that's right. There we go.
Doesn't what you're saying correlate to mode?
Yes, the mode is the most common. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what I've done is the difference between the top and the minimum and the maximum.
Yes.
I've got other columns here that I have hidden, but just to make it clear. But anyways, next in the list in terms of most consistent was J.J.A. Becker Wade from the Popular Poplars, and they had 2, 2, and then 3. They upped their game on the 3rd day. I also was pretty consistent. I averaged around 8. I did 8 the first day, 7 the next, and 9 the last. I mean, having such low scores and being consistently low maybe not be the thing we celebrate, but mathematically it was interesting. But then if we go up a little higher here, Anita had a difference of 5 between her higher and low. So she was consistently around the 20 mark for all of her stuff. So that's much more impressive than me being consistently around 8, for example. Nancy consistently in the 30s. And then we have Pam, who's consistently around the high 30s, late 40s, and so on. And then as we get lower, as we get further and further on, you see the difference between the lowest competing day and the highest gets higher and higher. So that we have, so June Butka, for example, only did 21 sources, but then she really upped her game on the last 2 days, 82 and 79.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah.
And then right at the top, the one who had the biggest difference is actually the one who had one of the highest scores overall, Alan, had 441 points for the Olympian day and a max of 873 on the cross-country connecting. So
you had I had to see mine. Where's mine?
Oh, okay. Let's search for.
Let's not look at mine.
There we are.
I know everybody's thinking, well, where's mine? I want to see.
Yeah, 25. So you had 25 on the sourcing, which was your lowest score, and double that on the cross country. That was your highest.
Cool.
Yeah. So you had a spread of 25, basically.
I love numbers.
Yeah. So now, sort of related to that, I reduced the list to those, and this is limited to those who competed on all 3 days, and which I can tell you actually. Out of the 200, because we had about 218, 219 each day.
Mm-hmm.
And of that, 169 of those people competed all 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty good portion.
Do you know how many people did 2 days?
They would be anyone underneath here. So I didn't sort those out, but I could. Yeah, the NA means that the formula didn't work because it was missing a piece of data from before. So I could figure out how many did just 2 and how many did just 1.
Yeah.
I may do that off air or when I'm not sharing my screen.
So,
it should be fast, but it might not be, and I don't want to be embarrassed.
We have a question about how the points were awarded for the sourcing portion. So it was just sourcing one profile. So whether you put 1 on or 6 on, it still got 1 point.
1 point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although that profile, if you put 6 on it, is much richer.
It's much richer for it, yes. And we thank you for that. Maybe.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, this is all about making the tree stronger. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Indeed. So this one here, these are all people whose contribution increased over the 3 days consistently. So Tracy, for example, I love this. She went from 21 on the first day, 22 on the second day, and 23 on the third day.
That's
Tracy,
awesome.
that is just amazing. I love that arithmetic sequence. Very cool. But this is all equally impressive. From 6 up 4, and then up another 4. So
very cool.
Very good from the Glorious Ginkgos. And then again, so here's all the Carolyn Hart, Catherine Morse, Miyako Jones, Beata Hauer, Victoria Fauchner, Pam Anderson, Pam S. Smith, Anderson, and Nancy L. Wilson, Fox, Vicky Blanco, who usually, I wonder, is she here?
Vicky is in the chat.
Vicky's in that. Hey there, Vicky. Goodbye. Nathan Schmidt, David Weinberg, Amanda Myers, Elaine Martson, Amy Gilpin, who was hosting with us on the Friday.
Amy was a cheerleader. Yep.
Yeah. Ray Sarlin, Harriet Darnell, Emily Holmberg, Joy Trevino, Nanette Rohrbach, Lorna Holman, Jillian Thomas, Michelle Ketchum, Margaret Meredith, Donna Bauman, Julie Bartimus, and Miss 411 herself, Jody Rogers.
That's awesome.
That's going to be your new nickname.
So that's very cool. Those people who just consistently got better and better through the weekend. So that was neat. Mm-hmm. And so where were we here? So I know. We're going to look at, there we go. So for the profiles for the athletes. And so here is the athlete's profile sorted by the number of profiles created. So it looks like there was one athlete. Is that true?
Yeah, there was one that didn't have any added.
Didn't get any added. Okay. Yeah. And so we went from having 2 profiles added up to the maximum of 648.
Awesome.
I don't have the names of the athletes attached, so I can't say who each of those were. But I can tell you that was from the Charming Chestnuts. So that's pretty impressive.
Very, very impressive, all the work that was done. Yeah.
Look how many are in the triple digits, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
This is very impressive. From 34 down to 61. So almost half, really.
Do you happen to have whether that profile for the Olympian is connected? Is that on your...
I don't have it on here, but we could check it quickly. The 648 or the 0 one?
No, I have the top 3 that we'll kind of go over a little bit. Mm-hmm. But no, I just meant as a data point on your spreadsheet.
Oh, no, I don't. No, because
Okay,
I just grabbed the data from Alesha's sheet here.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then I sorted it not by the number of profiles created, because that's the score that we counted in the stats, right? The number of profiles created. Yeah. But it is interesting to see the final CC7. So
it is.
So the person who didn't have any profiles created had 1 friend already. And then we had the person who had 2 profiles already had 1, so they're up to 3. So some of these early ones, now here's one, a nice jump from 10 profiles were created. So now their CC7's up to 43. So that's kind of half decent. Down to, now look at this, interesting. The one with the highest CC7 score only had 39 new profiles added. But they must have been key ones in key locations.
Yeah.
And there are 75 profiles added for a CC7 score of 53,816. Now here we are, the 527 profiles added, and we've got a CC7 of 4,014. Cool. Interesting. So that one that the highest, 648, basically. So their CC7 before must have been around the 1,000 mark, and now they're up to 1,679.
Well,
so
it could just be
that's a significant difference.
It could just be that they connected people that were already on WikiTree close enough that the CC7 just exploded.
Yeah,
right.
When they
were they all disconnected at the beginning? All the athletes?
Yeah, when we first did this, they didn't have any profiles connected to them. There were a few profiles that there was one I know that her son actually joined WikiTree right before the games were going to start.
No.
And he had created a profile, and so we had to merge those, and so there was a small amount that were then part of that profile.
Yeah, you worked so hard on that.
Wow.
That was tricky because
yeah. And then there was one more, I think that there was another merge that had to happen. So, yeah. but for the most part, they were all, just the one profile itself, at 0
Wow.
degree.
That's very impressive then. Yeah, neat. Good. Well, that's my run through the stats.
Yeah, and I'll just I don't have a full analysis organized. I'm going to sort through all the comments and look for trends, but a couple of things did pop out. But before I say those, I want to give a big shout out to our 5 cheerleaders. So Azure was one of them.
It was a lot of fun.
And Aowen, Amy Gilpin, Darren Kellett, and Sandy Patak. And so they were on call for their 3 teams each to make sure that everybody, knew what was what, and if they had questions or concerns, they could go to that person. So, but some things that have trickled or gone to the top were people talking about Discord versus G2G and how that was for their specific team. And we were noticing differences too, particularly in Discord, that some teams were just all over it and other teams were quieter. But I don't even for the chatty teams, I don't know that 100% of the people were engaged. So, we may need to brainstorm on how to pull everybody in. And
I actually sent a message out to every member of our team. Like about half of them were already on Discord.
Yeah.
And the other half weren't. And one joined and one tried to join and actually got connected on the Monday after. So, but even if we did the event this weekend, we still wouldn't have everyone on the team. So but so it's such a good thing. I mean, for communication, it's so much easier, and being in live in real time. So right.
So whatever it is that gets you over the hurdle of joining Discord, do it. It's worth it. Now we have Azure's really terrific video that walks you through that process. Some people, a few people talked about the order of the events, and since the sourcing and the connecting were kind of solitary versus the CC7 wall climb that really required people to work together, that maybe that should have been first to get the teams coalesced. Which good point.
It is, yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, and plus then too, maybe you'll find profiles that need sources that you can tag for the event, while you're doing your Olympian.
Yeah. So, and then there was a lot of discussion about the use of GEDCOMs, which was not clarified in the rules. And Greg I'm going to pass it over to you. You're going to put out a G2G.
Yeah, I'm going to put out a G2G post about that and give some pros and cons, and then ask the community to consider that, and then sort of decide what you think we should do going forward. Now the next one is a source-a-thon, and so it's not really relevant. So we have till January for our next Connect-a-thon before we really have to finalize this. But I thought I'd put the post out probably Monday or so. I've got a few other things this weekend that I have to do, but I'll put it out Monday. So and I'm going to try and be very objective about the pros and cons of using them, and so people can make an informed decision on what they think is the best route to go.
And it'll be more of a formal proposal type discussion where we can come to an agreement as a community about what we want to do there. So
that's right. Yeah. My post will be sort of put forward the discussion, and then there'll be a yes post, a yes answer, a no answer, and I'm not sure answer. And then you would reply to one of those answers, not comment on the original post, but reply to one of those answers with your vote and your opinions.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about some Olympians.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
You ready?
We're ready.
All right. So, here is the post that Eowyn had put out, the highlights. And so I've actually linked that in the chat for everybody, the highlights post. And that's where, if you want to see the stats, there's a link there for getting to all those stats. So just to kind of go over that real briefly. The Olympians that were that won, I just want to briefly share their profiles.
Nice.
So Leon Parker Tuck, this is his profile, and he's from Massachusetts, and he has 1,705 connections.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, an eighth
He's your
cousin.
Let's see. Is he my cousin too?
I love it when there's a picture that we can add to the profile too. That's always
That
nice.
is nice. Yeah.
And Warren Strelo, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is from Minnesota. He now has 877 connections. Here's his profile. Oh, there's a picture there too of a quote.
Oh,
And then Alphonse Albert Lacroix. Am I saying that right? Lacroix?
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 Well, some people may say Lacroix, but I mean, if it was from France, that would be Lacroix.
He's from Massachusetts.
Well, there are French
So it could be, yeah. Okay, and he has 4,024 connections.
Nice.
That's really
Wow.
nice. Look at that. That's great. Okay. So some other profiles I thought would be kind of fun to share because it's something that came up in that post that you did, Betsy, about, some things that maybe we can kind of focus on a little more next time is more people of color and more women. So just wanted to share for those that are interested. I don't know. I didn't know this before I was doing a little research about it. But the women were first allowed at the Olympics in 1900 Olympics. And so only 22 out of the 997 athletes that year were actually women.
Wow.
So the first woman to win a medal at that Olympics was Helen. Do you want to say her last name? I can't say it.
Portelet.
So she's actually she was representing Switzerland.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought,
Nice.
y'all might be interested in that. She is connected to the tree. She has over 2,000 connections. So that's really cool.
Nice.
And then another one that's the first is this is the first Black medalist, and that was in 1908, John Baxter Taylor.
Oh.
And he is unconnected. So we are putting out a little challenge. Help us get him connected to the tree, y'all.
Yeah.
From DC. Eh?
Let's do it.
He only died. He's only 26 when he died. Does it say how he died?
Ooh.
Yeah, same year that he won the medal.
What
No.
It doesn't say on here. Typhoid fever. Just months. Yeah, so.
How tragic.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But that's him there. So we have a nice picture of him.
Yeah.
And then we do have women that were in this the WikiGames that we wanted to highlight that were from different countries. We have Elizabeth Gardner Taylor from Canada, Ontario, Canada. Greg. And she is still unconnected. She has 104 connections currently. So this is her there. Such a nice picture.
Yeah. What was her sport?
She competed in the hurdles event. And then we have Sylvia Mildred Oxenham Potts, and she's from New Zealand.
Nice.
And no picture for her yet. Maybe somebody will be able to find one for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She has over 3,000 connections. And then we have Teresa Manuel. She is from Florida, and she's part of the U.S. Black Heritage Project. They are the manager for her profile there.
Mm-hmm.
Tuskegee University. Look at all these.
Look at all those categories.
Basketball coach.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So she has 78 connections, and she is connected.
Nice.
And this is the profile that I was working on. Henry Carr. He's still unconnected, unfortunately. He does have 79. So there he is. He won 2 gold medals at the Tokyo Olympics.
Nice. And what was his sport?
He's done so much. He was on the all American high school track team. He did all state teams for football and basketball. So yeah, so he also played for the, let's see, I think it's right here. There's a category for it. New York Giants.
Oh, really? Amazing. Huh.
So that's cool. And
I love our categories.
I know.
Yeah.
And then Rafer Lewis Johnson, he is also connected, and he has a nice even number there, 400 connections.
Nice. 20 squared.
And he's from Texas. He was a film actor, and he was in the decathlon, where he earned the gold medal in 1960. So those are the Olympian profiles that we wanted to kind of highlight for everybody today.
Nice.
Azure, would it be too difficult for you to tell us the profile IDs of the ones that are unconnected? There were like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I can. Let's see. Let me think about that for a second. Is there a way to tell on the category? Let's see. They should all be in the category WikiGames, right?
There was one who was born in DC. Well, if you just go through your tabs and see.
Oh, you mean of these ones? I thought you meant overall.
Yeah.
So, so Taylor -85671.
85671.
And then Carr -18416.
18416.
And then the one wasn't part of the WikiGames, but John Baxter Taylor is Taylor -78221.
He's the one who died of typhoid.
Yeah. And he's not connected? Yeah.
He's not connected.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put those in the chat.
Yeah.
So that people can.
There you go.
If it's a long holiday weekend and in the United States, if you're need something to do.
In Canada. It's Labor Day weekend in Canada too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Taylor is from Ontario, Canada.
But not that Elizabeth Taylor.
But not that Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah. Betty. I guess she went by Betty Taylor. So
yeah. North Oxford Township, Oxford. Yeah. Southern Ontario.
All right.
Neat. So Lisa did. She said she misunderstood, and we're making this up, not making this up as we go along, but this is the first time, so we may not have communicated the scoring exactly precisely, but you're right. It was the scoring for the WikiGames was the number of new profiles that were connected. And part of that is that the logistics of actually counting the CC7 connections, and who made that first connection to the other tree and whatnot is just more problematic and stuff. And this is an easier metric to use. Plus, it's more work creating a new profile, so hence the reward. The reward is better for the tree. Good stuff.
Well, I was hoping that Awen was going to be able to join us, but it looks like
she's been having technical difficulties with her laptop today, so sounds like that's still ongoing.
So I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions or anything else they want to cover or see covered? We have a short video. I redid the top 10 contributors, or the top contributor from each team.
Oh, nice.
So I can show that.
This is awesome. I got a sneak preview.
Oh, you got a sneak preview?
I did.
Okay,
very cool.
Here we go. That's just fun.
That's great.
Thank you, Azure. I just love that all the trees standing together at the end.
That is so cool.
I love the music. And when I found that track, I was like, oh, yeah, this is it.
Vicky said she missed that music.
That's crazy. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I guess we'll play the music out then.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.